Okay. Thank you first for coming to see our presentation in this PSA exhibition. We will see today work, which is, the title is New Silicone Surfactants for Low Emission Hydrosilicic foams. So the work is structured in three parts. We will see first a general introduction, then we will see the experimental part, and finally the achieved conclusions. So if we go to the first general introduction on the flexible HR type of foams, we have a little bit of history that we need to take into account. First, flexible type of foam were produced at the beginning of the 50s, and some of the first foams were also used in the automotive industry. But it was not until the 80s that the first emanation controls began to take place. So raw material suppliers were asked to find sources of those emanations. So they worked together with the OEMs to reduce the overall quantity of the emissions that were analyzed. So that's important because catalysts and surfactants were included in the package of the emissions. So then in the 90s, they appeared, the first commercial available silicone surfactants, which were low emission type. And from 2000 until today, the producers of silicone surfactants we have been introducing new surfactants with lower and lower emissions, following the more stringent requirements that nowadays the automotive industry is looking for, specifically because of new methods like PDA 278 they were introduced. So we can have a look. What does it mean, VOC and foaming? VOC are those emissions that can be easily released, for example, in summer into a car with the closed windows, that we can easily reach temperatures at higher than 60 or 70 degrees. So this is part of the emissions that we call VOC. And then there are other parts of emissions we call foaming. They are less volatile compounds that can also be released from the plastics or the foams in a car. So if we take into account that the European automotive industry adopts a method to test the interior emissions, they call the PDA 278. It's a method which is working with a thermal desorption test. So it works analyzing at the same time the VOC and the foaming on a specific material. Not only foam, it's a plastic type of material. So a small part or a small section of material is placed inside an empty tube, and then there are two temperatures at 90 degrees and at 120 degrees, 30 minutes and 90 minutes, sorry, 60 minutes. And with the first one, we analyze the VOC, and with the second one, we analyze the foam. So this is a little the picture of how is done this test. So a small part of foam is placed into a tube, a glass tube, and then we use a gas chromatograph mass spectrometer analytical equipment to analyze at the same time the VOC and the foam. So we have seen that silicone surfactant contains a silicone backbone and a polyether backbone, which is composed of ethylene oxide and propylene oxide molecules. So today, in this presentation, we will see new synthetic approaches that we have been using to be able to reduce to a very low quantity the remains of polymethyl siloxanes and polyethers. So we have been synthesizing higher molecular weight surfactants, which are less volatile. They are less volatile, and also with a very low quantity of remains. So now the second part of the presentation is the experimental part. It also contains two parts. The first one is the synthesis and characterization of 24 new surfactants. We will measure the polarity, the molecular weight, and the gas chromatograph analysis. And in the second part, we use the previously synthesized surfactants to make foam and to make some physical analysis on this foam. So the first part is the synthesis of 24 new molecules. So for that reason, we have been using 6 different polyethers and 4 different polysiloxanes. So the combination of both, or all together, gives this table of 24 surfactants. You can see a little bit the composition of each of them, because we have put it in the table the siloxane percentage and the polyether percentage. So then we analyze the polarity of the surfactant doing the cloud point analysis. It's an easy technique to classify the surfactants for taking into account the polarity. So higher is the polarity of the surfactant, higher is the cloud point. Then we make the measurements of the molecular weight using the size exclusion chromatography. So this is an example of 6 surfactants. They all contain the same siloxane as one, but different polyethers. And we see that the molecular weight changes. And then we make the same experiment, but using different siloxanes and the same polyether. And also the same, the technique is able to classify the surfactants by its molecular weight. And then finally we make the gas chromatography analysis of the silicone surfactant. This is just an example of 6 of them. There are not 24 here. Gas chromatography is not able to analyze the total composition of the surfactant, but we can analyze with gas chromatography which is the volatile part of the surfactant. So this is important to take into account. Because if we use the C14 and C21 patterns, we can classify the signals depending on the volatility of the signal. So second part of the experimental part, we make some foams using the 24 silicone surfactants, because the emissions are important, but it's not only the emissions. We need to ensure that the silicone surfactants must fulfill at least 2 main requirements. One is that they must give stability to the system. And the second one, which is really important in MDI, for example, is to give the required cellular regulation. So the surfactant has to perform well in the foam, not only in terms of emissions. So first we make TDI and MDI formulations. So the first ones are TDI type of formulation, where we use a polyether polyol 75% and a polymer polyol 25%, and the rest are the typical catalysts used. So we make 24 foams in free rise at 1% of silicone surfactant, and we select the 12 at the top of the picture because they offer, or they show, the lower density, the better appearance, and the better cellular structure. So using the 12 pre-selected surfactants, we tested them at 0.5% in TDI. And also we see that from the first 12 surfactants, there are 6 that they give better results. So also we select from the 24, only 6 surfactants which give the best results of all of them. So we measure the density. We see that without surfactant the density is really high because the foam is not stable. So using the standard surfactant 1259 PF, the free-rise density is close to 33. And using the new surfactants, we see that the density is a little bit lower, close to 31 kgs per cubic meter. So generally speaking, this is an advantage. So then we make also the force to crash measurements at 50% compression. We see that without surfactant the foam is not stable, so it has no sense this measurement. But we can compare the results comparing the standard surfactant 1259 PF with the new 6 surfactants. And we see that at least number 1, 2, and 3 give similar, very similar results to the standard surfactant, while the surfactants 11, 12, and 13, they are a little bit more strong because the cellular structure is a little bit more closed. Then we think that we can try the better surfactants we have been analyzing in TDI, also in an MDI formulation with a very low dosage. So we use the typical MDI with a polyether polyol OH number 28, 6,000 molecular weight, and a polymeric MDI. And we only test the first 12 better results, better surfactants, sorry. And we see that at 0.5% in MDI, 6 of them give also better results. Lower density, better appearance, better cellular structure. So they were the 6 pre-selected surfactants to do more tests. So this is the density measurement. We see that it's free rise density. It's close to 45, 46 kilograms per cubic meter. And then we make the molded test using only 0.1% of each of the new surfactants in this MDI formulation. The molded density is 67, and we see that surfactants 1, 2, 3, 11, 12, and 13, they have quite good results because after the first compression, the further compressions were more or less the same. So it means that the open the cellular structure of the foam is quite open. Only with one compression is enough to achieve a completely open cellular structure. And the results are quite similar to the standard surfactant, which is a good surfactant for MDI. Sorry. And then we go back and we recover the previously analyzed surfactants, the gas chromatographic technique of the 6 best surfactants. So we put the pattern C14 and the pattern C21, and we calculate which is the area, the summatory area of all the volatiles that we can analyze in each specific surfactant. And we see that comparing the results with 1259 PF, which has a total percentage of 3.97, number 1, 2, and 3 new surfactants, they offer better results than the previously standard surfactant 1259 PF. So this is quite interesting because we have seen that 1259 PF it's also very low emission type of surfactant. So it means that at least 3 of the new surfactants can be better options if we need to reduce, we need to further reduce the emissions on a specific foam. So this is the best ones. So as a general conclusion, we have seen that some surfactants like number 2 and number 3, they give a very good performance, not only in TDI, also in MDI, low dosage. And they both contain a very low quantity of silicone and polyether remains. So the emissions expected using these surfactants are really, really low. So just as a conclusion, we have seen that choosing the right chemical composition and the right molecular weight of the surfactant, we can reduce dramatically the emissions under the PDA 278 method. So we can say that almost 3 emissions foams could be obtained using these new surfactants. Okay, so that's all. Thank you for your time and your attention here.